Finally, this day is over, said Megan, turning to Chrissy. The past week had been difficult for Megan. She wanted to leave school as soon as possible. And it wasn't that the teachers were stressing her out at all. That was the last thing that would bother Megan's nerves. She was creeped out by the guy who had moved from Arizona. He constantly stalked her with his cold, piercing stare.
You're just mad he didn't fall for your charms.
Chrissy began to tease her friend.
Shut up. I don't care what he thinks of me at all. You heard his name. He is Christopher. I mean, what century is he from?
All right. You're not interested in him, I believe.
Chrissy grinned.
Never mind. Be ready at 8. I'll come up and pick you up for the party.
When the clock struck 7:00 p.m., Megan put on her best dress and got ready for the party. She was glad to be away from this creepy guy for at least 2 days. When she came out of the house, some shadow lurked in the bushes nearby. She wondered what it was, but didn't pay attention, deciding it was some kind of animal. She got into her car and drove away from the house with the music on full blast. When she reached Chrissy's house a few minutes later, she pressed the horn a few times. The house was dark, which was odd because she remembered exactly what she'd told Chrissy she'd pick her up at 8:00 p.m. Megan got upset and left. She arrived at the party and wanted to scold Chrissy properly, but she couldn't find her anywhere. Not wanting to be sad any longer, she joined in the general merriment. After about 4 beers, she spotted Christopher and approached him. She took his hand and immediately pulled away. His hands were icy. Megan looked at him and saw him smile, for the first time. But she couldn't tell it was his usual happy smile. It was more like a grin. She felt that piercing look again. He moved closer to her and whispered,
Chrissy's not here.
Megan's jaw dropped and she froze in place. He was still beside her, and she could feel his cold breath on her skin. Then he held out a piece of paper to her and whispered,
666.
Softly. After saying that, he left, and Megan fainted. She woke up, her head throbbing from the loud music playing at the party. She got up and remembered what had happened, but she wasn't sure if it was real or if it was an alcohol-induced hallucination. But then, she felt something in her hand. It was true. She stared at a piece of paper labeled 666. Chrissy. Megan exclaimed and ran outside. Her hands trembled as she tried to insert the keys into the ignition. She drove, speeding to the top of her speed limit. All she could think of were the 3 numbers 666, and the question of what that might mean. The brake tires squealed as she pulled into the front lawn of Chrissy's house. She shouted her name, knocking on the door, but no one answered. She picked up a flower pot and smashed the living room window.
Chrissy, are you there?
Tears of fear flowed from Megan's eyes, but she kept looking for her friend. No one answered her. She heard water dripping on the first floor. Megan slowly made her way to Chrissy's room. The door creaked and opened, and Megan smelled something. She called out for Chrissy again, but no one answered her again. Megan slowly opened the bathroom door and turned on the light. As soon as it came on, Megan let out a piercing scream. She saw blood on the shower curtains and 666 written in blood on the mirror. Megan couldn't move. She just stood there crying. She didn't want to see what was behind the curtains, but she knew she had to open them. She reached out and pulled them aside. There lay Chrissy, covered in blood. Her dead, lifeless body was horribly mutilated. Her head was curled back and her dead eyes stared piercingly at Megan. The look reminded her of Christopher's. Megan fell to her knees. She sobbed and couldn't stop. Suddenly she heard the door slam. Her heart gave a tingle in her chest and she looked around, but she didn't see anyone. Megan got up and ran away, but just as she grabbed the front door handle, someone pulled her hair.
6066.
Whispered in her ear. Megan recognized those cold hands and breath at once. It was him.
Please don't do this. Why are you doing this?
He threw her back against the wall and said,
You know what day it is. 06/06/2006. I made a promise to myself that I would commit my 666th murder on that day, so you can count yourself lucky.
Megan rushed to run, and hid in the living room closet. She heard him say,
Come out wherever you are, Megan. I don't like stalking my prey.
Her heart was pounding so hard that Megan was afraid he might hear him pounding. She sat motionless, not making a sound. Then the closet door creaked and swung open.
Gotcha, I see you.
And he stabbed her, right in the stomach. Megan collapsed to the floor, feeling warm blood rushing down her stomach.
You know why I turn heads, Megan? It is because of your souls, and they are my prey. You are the beast, Megan, and your number is the number of the beast, 666.
Having said that, he began to twist Megan's neck until she stopped breathing.